Hi, I'm Janie Dickens Bowman, and I am the volunteer coordinator here at the Village at Orchard Ridge. And I was very honored to be asked last year about a collection that I might have to offer. Mary Ellen Gross, a former resident here, I was very tickled that she asked me about this collection. We chatted a little about it. I provided what it was involved with philanthropy, and I was picked. So I'm very, very pleased about that. My family, the Dickens, are long-standing folks to the eastern panhandle of West Virginia, and then migrated to Virginia now with my family. My great-grandfather came here pre-Civil War, and he was the nephew of the author Charles Dickens. He was a young boy who was put on a boat to come to America for a better life by his mother. His mother was blinding and pregnant and was the wife of Charles Dickens' younger brother, Augustus. Charles Dickens, in some of his novels later, noted his younger brother, who he didn't call by name, but he dubbed him the Dirty Dickens, because he was kind of the ne'er-do-well, scallywag guy. He ditched this wife and young son for somebody else. So that's my heritage here in America, which is kind of fun for me and my family. We've always sort of taken a little bit of pride in that. So while not a direct descendant, an uncle, second party descendant to the author Charles Dickens, we've all been sort of known as pretty decent writers and a craft of the English language, so we take a lot of pride in that. So that brings us forward, my great-grandfather to my grandfather, then to my father, and then to my sisters and me, up in Levels, West Virginia, just up in Hampshire County. And this collection of ladies' hats is something that has been acquired from not only my great-grandmother, but to my grandmother, and then primarily to my aunt, who I knew as Diddy. And they all sort of had a little sense of feminine style. And during the time, hats were all the rage. I've never really had good hat hair. Most of the rest of my family has had good hat hair. So here I am, but I felt I had to model at least one hat in this collection. There are in this collection during the month of April and May, about 30 hats. This is only about half the collection. The other half is still at my home place up in Levels, which we are in the process of kind of settling out as my family, unfortunately, has sort of passed on. And so now we have this heritage. I've had residents ask me over the last month or so a couple of different questions, and one of which is, how did you save all these hats and how did they stay so nicely preserved? Well, when you have property and a home that has been taken care of and preserved, all these lovely hat boxes, of which there are still more up there, these hats were kept and preserved over all these years. My great-grandfather came here pre-Civil War. So do the math forward, mid-1800s to current. These things have been acquired and worn and appreciated and had fun with over all these years. But they've been really protected, unlike a lot of things in life. So I feel very honored. And quite frankly, residents have said to me, Janie, thank you for sharing this collection. What a neat, unusual kind of thing to see. It makes my heart happy to be able to share a little bit about my family and something that's a little bit different. So I will tell you, and please excuse me as I sort of turn my head, I'm going to tell you, folklore says that this white hat in here was actually worn at my great-grandmother's marriage to my great-grandfather, which is kind of cool. So Mary Jane Powell Dickens, she was born in 1850 and she died in 1825. So that gives you a little bit of history and longevity of what some of this collection is. Another thing that I'm very proud of is that my mother, obviously, who grew up in that general area in West Virginia with my father, my mother was the first in her family to graduate, not only graduate high school, but to go on to a professional degree. She was a registered nurse. This is one of her nurse's caps and her little nurse's pin. She was very proud to wear that during that time when nurses wore hats and white stockings and all of that. My Aunt Diddy, who some residents here actually either knew of or I have spoken of, is someone who I feel I take the most after in my family. Many of these hats were hers. She got her master's degree from Columbia University in New York City. So she got to spend time in New York City and got to really feel a little of the style and the glamour. My grandmother and my aunt were kind of known for their style and their sense of putting outfits and things together with their shoes and hats and gloves and all of that during the time. So I'm actually a little bit embarrassed by some of that, but I'm also very happy to be able to share this. I had another resident say to me, Janie, your people actually grew up in West Virginia and you have these kinds of things? And you know what? I don't take offense to that. I do feel that a lot of this has to do with individual family heritage and not necessarily where you grew up. Feel very fortunate and blessed that my grandfather in particular was able to be a very successful orchardist, growing apples and peaches and cherries and the like, and did some other business opportunities. So he put my family actually in pretty good position. So I'm actually very proud of that. So I also have my daughters in here, Isabella and Olivia. I have pictures of my father and my Aunt Diddy when they were young. I have my great-grandparents' picture. I have my mother's nursing picture. I have my grandmother's picture when she was young and when she was a little older, plus my own wedding picture here. I wore a hat at my wedding in 1986. My girls are a little horrified by that, but nevertheless, here we are. I am very honored to be able to share this hat collection. I am very much hoping that this might go on to be donated and be ever preserved at the Museum of the Shenandoah Valley going forward as part of the Valley heritage that we are so honored to have here. So again, residents of Orchard Ridge, I'm so honored to be able to share this. Thank you for your fine comments, and I hope you continue to enjoy this collection. Thank you.